Manuela get her screen on if she wants. Hi, Manuela, if you can hear us. Right. I'll assume that she can hear us, and I'm going to start. Right, so I wanted to do today's class on just purely around fat loss. Well, I tend to try to say fat loss more. Hi, Manuela. I tend to say fat loss more than weight loss. I know we tend to say lose weight, but I find losing weight is water weight, it's muscle, it's everything. Whereas we want to lose fat, we don't want to lose just weight. The numbers of the scale that go down doesn't actually mean we're losing fat. So I do try to specify fat loss, and that's why I say it that way. So I'll ask the question, how many of you guys have been on a diet before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you lose weight on the diets?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you keep the weight off after the diet?
I probably wouldn't be here if that was a genuine.
True. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think that's sort of like the classic.
I get the joke amongst my friends because I'm always the one who says, "Yeah, diet starts Monday after a weekend of eating and drinking absolute crap, and every single day my diet starts Monday."
Yeah. So that's what we need to change, that mentality of like, and I have to kind of stress as well. Yes, I am talking about specific looking at your calories, calorie deficit, everything, but that's why I don't like a lot about fat loss, because there's such a fine line. There's a focus on fat loss, there's a focus on being healthy, there's a focus on improving your relationship with food. Those are three. There's a focus on strength building, muscle building. Those are four different things. So you can't do everything at once. So this is purely about how you lose fat. I'm not going to go into the intuitive eating side of things, the relationship with food things, which is extremely important, but that's a separate thing. So just so you know, I'm just going to focus on one little small channel of it. So when it comes to all the different diets and stuff that we've been on, really we could probably name at least 5 on top of our heads. So the different, like Slimming World, Weight Watchers, keto, there's so many diets. But really, the reason why any of them work is the ultimate kind of umbrella they come under is a calorie deficit. So you'll probably be seeing a little bit more about that online as well. So people are starting to kind of talk more about that. So, because when we follow these diets, we tend to be given a lot of the tools. We're given what foods to eat, how much of that to eat, at what time. Like we're given a prescribed food plan or products to take to supplement meals. So it's done for us. Whereas we need to learn, how do we do it ourselves? How do we make it work to our eating and our food and our family? Because that's how it will become, you will lose the weight and you'll keep the weight off. So with that, I'm just going to explain a little bit about calories. So calories are a unit of energy. So everything we consume, food, drink, everything contains calories. So all our calories have a certain amount of grams. All of our foods have a certain amount of grams of calories per unit. So every carbohydrate we eat has 4 calories per gram. Every gram of protein has 4 calories, and every gram of fat has 9 calories. So that's why if you go on a low-fat, fat-free diet, that's your half your calories. It's 50% reduction on calories from the other foods. So that's why it's tend to be a bit perceived as a good way to lose weight, but it's not going to be longevity, weight loss, or fat loss with that. With the calorie side of thing, I was taught in every course I've been on that 1 pound of body fat is equivalent to 3,500 calories. There's actually no science to back that up. There's no factual, it's nowhere to be found. So it's quite I think probably one of those things where, eat 5 a day. It's got kind of just picked out of a basket hat pretty much. But we can kind of keep that in the back of our mind that that's a lot of calories for 1 pound of body fat. So it's not that easy to lose weight. So I think people think, I can lose, 5 pounds in a week. Well, no, you can't. If you lost 5 pounds on the scale, you'll lost a lot of water and probably start losing some muscle as well. Usually be a lot of water weight to start. So this is a bit to write down. So I want you to know where you are with your calories. So if you want to go away from this with a bit of a plan, what you need to do first thing is to understand and know how many calories are you eating on a daily basis now. So you can only go from where you are now, and don't all of a sudden eat super strict and then enter that into MyFitnessPal and then be like, oh, I only eat 1,300 calories a day, but you know you probably eat 2,300 calories or 2,700 calories a day. You've got to be really honest with yourself with every little thing, and that's where it goes away from that healthy relationship with food, because it can become quite obsessive. So I'm going to stress here, if you have that mindset that you do tend to get obsessed with the numbers and it becomes a very unhealthy view of foods, you have to stop that. And I'll do another course on healthy relationship with food as well. But if you find yourself going down that path, please just stop any kind of food tracking of any sorts. So MyFitnessPal is tends to be the best app. It's free. It's got everything on it. It has every food in the world on there. So it's an easy one to do. It would be a good one to use to log your food for 4, 5, 6 days. See where you're at. See where your average calorie intake is. Bear in mind, not all the numbers are accurate on MyFitnessPal, and please do not look at the numbers they give you. So the calorie numbers they give you will be inaccurate. It's a very simple formula they use, which is not going to be accurate. It's always going to show too low of calories for everyone. If I went on it, it would say I should be eating 1,100 or 1,200 calories a day, which I would starve if I did that with training. So just don't look at what it tells you. Just look at your food diary with it. So seeing where that is, what you need to then find out now with that information is, what is your maintenance calorie level? So what you're eating right now, if you right now have maintained the same weight with your level of activity for the last, say, 2 months, so you're probably eating at your maintenance level of calories. So you need to create a calorie deficit. If you've been, increasingly putting on a little bit of weight, you're eating over your maintenance calories. Or if you're feeling that you're really cutting back but things aren't happening, you're not losing weight, you're probably too low and you need to actually do a little bit of reverse dieting, which gets quite confusing, but going back up. So you need this maintenance calorie level, you need to be there before you can do anything else. So this is where a lot of people get a bit, they don't want to do that, because it tends to usually mean we have to eat more than what we're currently eating. Because if you keep reducing your calories, if you go on a diet, you reduce your calories. So say you drop it by 500 calories a day, and then you go back up by 400 calories a day, and then you maintain that, and you go another diet, and then you go up by 300-400. So you're constantly, your threshold gets lower and lower over the years with every diet. So your maintenance, your current living maintenance level is actually quite low, which means your metabolism is going to be slower. You're not going to lose the weight you think you should be losing with the calories you're eating. You've got to get those calories back up to the maintenance level for your body weight, and then start from that point. So sometimes it'll feel like taking a step back, but actually it's so much more beneficial, and you'll realize actually you'll enjoy food more as well, because you're going to be eating a lot more probably than what you think you should be eating. So of that number, this is where I'll send this to you guys as well afterwards if you don't want to write it down now. Your body weight in pounds, so you've got to do your calculation for stone as well, in pounds, you want to times it by 14 to 16. So 14, 15, or 16 is that range, and that number is your calories to maintain. It's an average number, obviously. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, but that's going to be your kind of like loose benchmark. So I just sort of did a little piece of paper, if you can even see the lighting here. You can't even read it, can you? Can you see that? So just to give it like a really hot, like brief example. So 160 pounds is about 11 and a half stone. I just use a round number. So if you times that by 14, that's 2,240 calories up to 2,560 calories. So that, if your weight is 11 and a half stone, your maintenance calories is about 2,400 calories a day. And I guarantee we all eat that on a weekday. And I can guarantee many of you don't eat that on a weekday, just a weekend. Definitely eat that on a weekend, not on a weekday. Especially if we're dieting Monday to Friday. We won't be eating that, but you'll be consistently eating that maintenance level to get your body used to that level of calories. You may find you put a little bit of weight on, but it won't be more than a couple pounds, and then it will level itself out. So then from that number, this is where the deficit comes in. So once your body is now comfortable at that level of maintenance, I would say probably, how long? It'd be depending on how far off your maintenance calories you are for how long you want to stay at that level. So I'd say at least 3 or 4 weeks, if not longer. If you're way off of it, it's going to take you a while to build back up to those. So if you're eating like 1700, 1800 calories a day, which a diet will tell you to eat 1500 calories a day, you've got a long way to go up. So you're going to find to increase that much is too much. But just see where you're at. If you have any questions after about it, just message me afterwards and just let me know. Let me know anyways what your number is, and then I can help you out with how to best kind of adjust that. So the deficit is the big thing here. So we have to create a calorie deficit to lose weight, to lose body fat. So remember the units of energy. So yes, we can train. Obviously, I want you to exercise, but it's very minimal calories that we burn in workouts. One workout, you might burn a couple hundred calories, but a couple hundred calories is like a slice of bread and butter. It's a small amount of food versus a lot of effort with exercise. So exercise, it should be for different focuses. That's your strength, that's your energy, that's your, everything else. Don't train to lose weight, because that's not going to give you the results you need. It's going to be your diet, your calorie deficit. So you get your maintenance calories and where you're at with that, and then now you're ready to create this deficit. So a deficit should be between 10 and 15% of that number. Don't go more than 15%. Definitely going to be too low, too big of a drop. You won't sustain that. I would say start with 10% for a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, see how you're feeling. Don't expect massive weight loss. Get your body a chance to respond to that, and then you can drop it lower if you find that actually I'm not really losing any weight at the body fat at the moment. So I've just kind of put some of the numbers there just to show you. So again, so the deficit, so that's just showing you 10 or 15% deficit. So if your calories were around that 2400, maximum you'd go down to is about 1900 calories. That'd be the lowest you'd go. And again, if you've been on any diet that tells you how many calories, it's usually it's usually between 1300 and 1500, maybe 1800, but that's usually considered quite high in a diet. I usually say, as a general rule, without knowing anyone's numbers, because people always ask how many calories should I eat, I always say at least 1800, and it pretty much kind of falls in that. Most of us, 1800 is going to be, you don't want to go any lower than that unless you're really petite. Then your numbers are going to be lower, so you need to know again what your current weight is with that. Does anyone have any questions about that at all? Does that make sense with the?
Yeah, it does. It's really interesting, and because I started a diet a week ago. When I say diet, I'm just doing my own thing.
Yeah.
I am obviously trying to eat a lot less calories, so now I'm thinking, really, I need to go. So really, what I should do is go back up to.
I'd see where you. See where you were. So do like a false food diary with what you were eating before to see where your calories were at. And then see if you can, because you might find right now your calories will be lower because you're already on a diet, so you will be at a lower amount. But I would even just you could even just look at your maintenance calorie amount, and then take off your 10 or 15%, create that deficit, and then just see what number that is, and is it close to what you're doing right now? Probably the easiest thing to do right now.
Okay.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Thank you. Yeah, that does. Yeah, thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions about that at all? Oh, Amanda, you're on mute here if you're talking to us. If you want to unmute it there.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I told you I'm not very good at this stuff. Just one question. Did you say that you have to, like you've got to calculate, the maintenance, the calories to maintain, per day?
Yes.
And then did you say that we have to try to use the calories for like 2 or 3 weeks and then start to calculate the deficit? Or we can start calculating the deficit straight away? You
can. You definitely can. It just depends where your current calories are. So if you know that you are eating more than what you should be eating, then you're probably going to be eating around that maintenance level, maybe a little bit higher if you're putting on weight. But if your current number is already a lot lower than the maintenance levels, you need to increase your calories to that level first. Okay. But if you know that's why just even do a food diary for a few days, get an idea of it. And as well, with your food diary, don't base it just on your weekdays because your weekends are going to be much higher. So look at it as a 7-day average, not an individual day. So some days will be 1300, some days will be 2900. Like, you've got to look at the whole week. So that's I do like nutrition coaching as well. So I did with quite a few people where we look at the week's calories. So we know a weekend's going to be higher naturally. So we drop the calories through the weekdays to give you that balanced out level for that 7-day period. Instead of it being a day-to-day thing or a Monday-to-Monday thing, it's a case of, well, I guess it's a Monday to Monday, isn't it, if it's a week, but you know what I mean? It's sort of like looking at the whole week. So if you know you're going to have some drinks, eat out on a weekend, you've got to create that deficit in that beginning of the week to allow for that. But yes, sorry, Amanda, yeah. So if you look at do your calculation for your maintenance calories, and then you can create a deficit from that point then, yeah. Oh, gosh,
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm just going to notes here. If I skip past anything really quick, or if anything doesn't make sense, just please let me know, because I know I just ramble, and then I know it, so sometimes I skip past something and not realize I maybe missed a bit that makes sense. So let me think here. So calorie wise, so say our amount that we need to be eating, let's say it's 1900, so 1900 calories. So that's the lower end if you were about 11.5 stone. The way you're going to look at that then for what your intake is going to be is your number one thing you're going to look at is your protein intake. You're not going to worry about your carbohydrate intake, and you're not going to worry about your fat intake. You need your protein intake to be the number one priority. Once you have that in, then the rest of the calories come from how you want them to be. If you like eating a low carb diet, then eat your low carb diet, have your fats, not too many because they're going to be higher in calories. If you're someone who likes carbohydrates, keep those fats a little bit lower, get the carbohydrates in. So I always kind of pick one or the other as kind of like your main side to your protein. So protein needs to be number one with that. Amount of protein, so that's going to be really key to losing weight as well. That means that you're not going to lose muscle. So when we lose body fat, our bodies can't choose where the energy comes from. It just takes it. So if we're not eating enough protein, our body will take energy from our muscle. So we could be doing all our workouts, and our body then goes, thank you very much, and I will take that as energy tomorrow, because not literally the next day, but it will take it because it's nutrient dense, it's energy dense. So you need protein in your diet, consistent amount to repair the muscles for workout, but to maintain that muscle mass to then give you that higher calorie burn, because muscle burns calories as well. So you've got an extra calorie burn every day for every extra pound of muscle you have. So it's an added little bonus of calorie burn through the day. So this is nothing to write down. The amount of protein is, again, if you look everywhere will give you a different number. So the amount of protein you'll find online, usually NHS type sites will say 0.35 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I say a little bit higher than that. So I would say you probably want to be getting closer to about 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight you are. So it's going to be around 80 to 100 grams of protein per day on average. And that may not sound like a lot. It may sound like tons. It's tons. If you aren't someone who eats a lot of protein, 100 grams of protein a day. I've yet to ever do someone's food diary and they eat 100 grams of protein a day as a woman. We just don't eat it. We like our carbs. We don't eat a lot of protein. So that is the number one thing I would say, is to get that protein intake up. So again, looking at your Fitness Pal, if you're going to keep track, look to see what's your current protein intake. Very commonly, I'll see it being around 30, 40 grams a day at best. So there's a long route, lots of room for improvement. So you don't have to go from 40 to 100 in day one, because you'll have a stomach ache. Your body will not like that much extra protein. So be gradual with it. Drink lots of water, because your body needs that water as well for the protein. And just find what proteins are best for you. There's lots of more science behind each of the types of protein, how our body digests and breaks them down. But you've got to get the basics first and figure out what proteins are good for you, what you can digest, what you can fit into your budget, what you can fit into your family meals, how you can bump up that protein intake. So I've sent before ages ago to everyone, I'll send it again, a list of foods and the protein that's in each food, just for a little reference guide, so you can look to see, oh, actually, that has way more protein than that. I'll eat more of that food if that's something you do enjoy more. So say you're having 100 grams of protein a day. if that's what you're going to get yourself up to, that's only 400 calories, right? So remember, there's 4 calories per gram of protein. So really, it's only 400 calories of your almost 2,000 calorie intake per day. So that gives you 1,600 calories in a day, which is a lot and isn't a lot, but 1,600 calories to have kind of whatever you want. And I'm not saying just eat shit all day, obviously. You know, the better, healthier you eat, the better results you're going to get physically and energy-wise. But technically, yes, you could eat absolute shit for that whole 1,600. It could just be like pieces of sugar, little cubes of sugar, and you will lose weight because you created a calorie deficit and you kept the muscle with that protein. So that's kind of the 2 main things. Is there any questions about protein before I kind of move to another little bit here? No? Is this making sense though? So I'm not trying to sound patronizing. I just want to make sure that what I'm saying is making sense. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. So, another bit about this is about asking, like, do we have to eat like this forever? So we've created this deficit. You can't stay in deficit forever. You can't. You wouldn't be able to. And what you would have doing is you'd be like decycling down and then getting a lower calorie maintenance level if you keep dieting and then maintaining that number and then diet again, because our bodies adjust. Our bodies are brilliant and they adjust to what we're eating. So we have to change it up to really challenge the body as well. So it varies on each individual, but you want to be in a calorie deficit for no more than about 12 weeks. So it's a tricky one because it can kind of sound like, oh, so really I'm going to go on a diet for 12 weeks. It's not a diet. It's adjusting what you currently eat for up to 12 weeks maximum. And then you learn from that. Once you get to that 12, it helps the mindset because you know what, I've got to this date that I'm going to just cut back those little areas. That's my cutoff point. So or it could be 8 weeks, it could be 6 weeks. You can choose, obviously, whatever you want it to be. Even if try it for 4 weeks, just to see calorie deficit, and then choose that date to stop, go back up to your maintenance level calories again. So bump it back up to that maintenance level. Your maintenance level will change if you've lost weight though, so you've got to remember that. So overall, that maintenance level number will be coming down as we lose weight, yeah? So it's just making sure you recalculate that maintenance calorie level after each cycle of fat loss, of calorie deficits. So you then want to stay in that maintenance level for, again, 6 to 8 weeks. Again, it really varies on what results you got, where you are in life, what's happening. There's so many factors with it, but you want to give yourself a good chance, your body an opportunity to understand and adapt to those changes. You then might find, actually, you've got, say you get to the weight that you want to be at. You're like, okay, I'm happy where I'm at here, but I want to build some more muscle. You have to increase your calories. So we won't go into all that, but then you have to actually go above the maintenance level to build muscle. And that's not a bad thing. So it's not that you could do that in a whole cycle of wanting to lose weight still. So you could do a calorie deficit cycle, go to maintenance. So you could set calorie deficit, say, for 12 weeks, so 3 months. So you drop some weight there, you go to your maintenance for, say, 2 months, enjoy that maintenance level because you've upped your calories by a good few hundred calories. So you're going to enjoy that. And then you could then up it and then really train heavy. So you'd have to be lifting heavy weights, training hard, but needing those extra calories. Do that for 6 or 8 weeks and then come back to your maintenance level again. So always having that maintenance as that neutral point. So that always as you're coming back to a point and always reassessing what that number is based on your current weight. Does that make sense? Does it sound doable? It's a different way of looking. To be honest, this way of looking at things is quite new to me as well. It's not the way we're taught it's nothing that I've been taught in regards to any of my qualifications with training and nutrition and fat loss, everything. But it links a lot to much more the bodybuilding side of training, mentality, understanding, science. And I think that's what we've gone so far away from that that we have to sort of take a step back and go, well, actually, it makes sense that we can't stay in calorie deficit forever. But again, you need to, it's such a tricky one. I get it. You just have to make sure you've got a very clear understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And no food it's not looking at things in a negative way. It's looking at things in a very practical way. And looking at food's a little bit different. And that's why it can be kind of thought negatively of, because you are counting calories. Technically, you could become obsessed with those numbers. You've got to be very careful that doesn't take you down that road. But you might find that having the same breakfast every Monday to Friday works, because you know the calories in it, you know the proteins in it, you know it's easy, you know you like it, then do it. If that doesn't work for you, then you got to make it work for you. But there's things you can do to make it a little bit easier. But we're kind of almost reverse taught that we shouldn't do that, because that's becoming a bit obsessive about it. It's such a tricky thing to kind of put into words. Does that kind of make sense what I'm trying to say there though? So it's separating these two things. I will happily do another class on healthy relationships with food and intuitive eating, because it's completely different and it can be applied to this, but I would look at them as separate things. I would say, if you had a really bad place with food and your relationship with food is very negative, then I wouldn't do this yet. I would go into a complete focus on rebuilding relationship with food and yourself with food, and then you do this. So I've done that with a couple of clients. We've spent a couple of months completely changing how they look at food, and now we're at a point where we're like, okay, now we can go and create a calorie deficit, because now their mindset around food and themselves has completely changed. So now they're okay to take that step and now focus on calorie deficit. So just only you know, and you have to just be aware of that. It's not about dieting. It's not about restriction. It's not I can't have that. It's like, okay, well, actually, looking at your calories. So I've got one person who was doing this with me, and saying, I'm going to hold off some of my calories for nighttime to have some extra chocolate at nighttime. But actually, that might result in having lower energy through the day. So you could be, skimping on your calories all day, so you could have like a big, chocolate bar or whatever, bag of crisps at night, but actually that's going to be detriment to your energy levels. Calorie wise, you're still going to tick the boxes, and that's where you've got to be careful. You can still tick those boxes and still get that calorie deficit, still lose weight, but you're eating crisps every night, but you're not going to be feeling the best. You need to still look at your nutrition, the healthy foods, and get the healthy, all that, the more the carbs, the energy dense foods in the first half of the day to give you the energy for the day, because we're all busy as well, aren't we? So we need to, don't be just sitting and eating an iceberg lettuce for lunch, please. Never do I ever want to sit on a food diet. And I see it all the time. A little bit of tomato, cucumber, iceberg lettuce. No, you've got to get much more substantial foods in it. And again, it's finding what foods are going to work for you. With regards to food, so I kind of just written a little list here, kind of like, hi Joe, a little list of a few things, kind of quick wins, ways to kind of look at what you're eating and how things you can quickly change. Joe, do you have anything that you want to, any input from you? Because Joe's been doing some nutrition stuff with me, so.
I didn't realise I'd not got my camera, sorry. I've just said to Mark, so I think Shannon's using me as an example, saving my calories for the chocolate. Yeah. As I sit here eating some chocolate, so.
That's okay, but it was an excess chocolate.
No, what are we now? When did we start? March time? April time?
April, May. End of March.
Certainly the relationship with food is huge, and I was just very mixed on dieting and what is a good to eat.
Yeah.
And I was just very muddled, but my general diet now, I don't feel as though I'm restricting myself, because actually what I want to eat is the good stuff that's good for me. It's really hard to explain.
Yeah. Do you find that with the calorie side of things, because we've done some work on the relationship with food as well, and just understanding, just changing the thought, it's around just understanding diets and trying to clear that out of our mind a little bit, but with the calorie side of things, so we've worked on your calories, and we've done a reduction in your calories for a while as well to how have you found the keeping track of the calories, and how has that felt for you doing that? Like, what, has there been any easy way to do it, or?
Well, I just used my fitness pal, and I've quite enjoyed finding things that are protein heavy.
Yeah.
That I know, it's been a bit of a challenge trying to get something that's protein heavy that my kids are going to eat as well.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed it because I feel the benefits. I feel the benefits before seeing the benefits, and that's been my focus really. So
good.
I'm in a completely different place. So, but anyway, I'm going to stop talking. Thank you.
No, that's good. Thank you. Thanks. Right. So, a few random. I just kind of thought of a few things that I would think of that I do, or and again, anything you can think of or ask, please do. But things like calorific things, or sauces, condiments. They're so calorie dense. So things like salad dressings or mayo, ketchup, all those things that we might just put up with addition, not even think about. If you just took those away, depending on how much you eat in a day, that could be a couple hundred calories a day gone just by doing that. So I think it's really important, again, looking at your food diary and look at what are those high calorie foods that actually think, oh, I don't actually need that. Like things like peanut butter. I always talk about peanut butter because I love it, but it's so calorific. And if you're putting peanut butter in your oats because you think you should, because you think it's healthy, it's not. It adds flavor. So do you need it in the oats? Maybe put a teaspoon of honey. Will that be less calories than the big spoonful of peanut butter? Probably. Will it sweeten it? Yes. So looking through what you eat, what can you change on that? And it's not about cutting out bread. Please don't cut out bread. It's about what you put on the bread. This is what I always think of this. When you have a slice of toast, this nice slice of toast has protein. They have 12, 13 grams of protein in it. It's got grains, fiber. It's great for us. It's what we put on it. It's the butter. It's the peanut butter. It's the jam. It's the cheese. It's everything that goes on the bread that is not the problem, but that's the calories. It's not the bread's fault. So you can have the bread, but just be mindful. Beans on toast, don't put the cheese on. Or don't put as much butter on the bread because it's going to be covered in beans anyways. Like little things that you can do just for those little calorie reductions. That's where you get the wins from, and that's where you don't feel like you're on a diet. And that's where you can see that reduction in calories. Even things like using hot sauce. So like hot sauce is super low calorie, low sugar, as long as it's not sriracha, that's quite high sugar. But a lot of hot sauces are really low sugar, low calorie. They add tons of flavor to food. Balsamic vinegar, you can use that if you like roasting vegetables. Put that on your vegetables and put in the oven, or on your salads. Use as many herbs. I think it's just flavor. Using as many herbs, spices, whatever you can to make things taste as nice as they can. Just to give that bit of a kick, really. And number 2 would be have more for breakfast, because guaranteed, I'd say probably 3 out of 6 of you probably don't eat enough breakfast. That's probably even more, perhaps. A lot of people don't eat enough for breakfast, so it's getting that protein in, which is challenging in the morning, especially when we're busy with kids and stuff. So you've got to find, again, there's ways that you can get that protein in. So whether you boil enough eggs for a few days, keep them in the fridge. I used to do a lot when I worked like 5 a.m. in the mornings. I would have my hard-boiled eggs in the fridge, cold, obviously, and I would just slice it, do 2 slices of whole grain toast, bit of butter, and I would just slice the cold egg, put 2 eggs, put it in it as a sandwich. So kind of the toast warmed up the egg a little bit, and it may sound awful, but it worked. It was just, I always think that as like, it's something that worked, and it was just super quick. Or overnight oats is always a good one. That's my favorite. Just finding ways, protein powder, so it may not be for everybody, but it is a great way to get your protein intake in. It does cost money, yes, but it seems like a lot of money for a bag of protein. It could be 20, 25 pounds, but actually you pay more than that for the meat proteins, for that amount of grams of protein, and you're not then having to eat a lot of meat. And you can get organic, good quality, sourced protein powder. I've sent you guys a link before. I'll send it again if you want, where I get my protein powder from, which I've tried a million different kinds, and not a million, but a lot of kinds. And this has been my favorite by far, so I definitely recommend it. What else have I got? Planning. I know it's tough again. I know when life's busy, but you need to plan. If you don't have a plan in place, you will eat the high carb, no protein dinners because it's going to be what's easy. So you've got to really start planning, and that takes practice as well. So don't think you're going to be perfect at it to begin with, but maybe even just start with planning your breakfasts and making a plan for your Monday to Friday, or just planning your lunches. Just start small. It'll feel big, but those changes are going to make a big change for you. So once you get in the habit, okay, so you know I've got these 2-3 breakfasts. They're my go-to breakfasts. Perfect. Just cycle those throughout the week. You've got your 2-3-4 lunches. Perfect. Cycle those around. Make it as easy as you can, especially with kids as well, because some of us have to cook separate meals for the kids as well. And the last thing you want is to be, I never want to hear a woman say, this is mommy's meal, and then I'll make your guys' end up being something different because mommy's on a diet. Never, ever. I think that's something I grew up around all the time. I just think it's just, kids just see us all eating the same foods, unless they're just eating chicken nuggets and beans for a phase, then let them have that. To be fair, chicken nuggets aren't always bad. But yeah, planning definitely. Batch cooking is also going to be a winner. So I think quite a few of us do a lot of batch cooking anyways, but that's a great way to get that protein. You've got extras for your lunches. You could do a batch cook on a Sunday and have it for lunches for a couple of days, including one dinner. Another thing as well, so Joe, I'm going to use you as an example again here. So looking at where you eat. So Joe will have, so she works on the road a bit, so she will have to get takeaway food from fast food places. So what we did was we looked at where she would be going and what were her healthiest options. So an example would be here like an Egg McMuffin. So people think, oh, I cannot have an Egg McMuffin. No. I'd rather go and they'll get, I don't know, like a pot of granola, a yogurt and granola pot from the petrol station. Guaranteed that Egg McMuffin the Egg McMuffin has more protein and less calories than that little pot of what you think is healthy, full sugar yogurt and full sugar granola. An Egg McMuffin has got 300 calories and 16 grams of protein. So really, that's great. Get that and a latte, and that's going to bump your protein up to about 24. So yes, Joe, 24, 25 grams, and your calories to around 450. So like that's not a lot, but it's going to fill you up. It's an option on the road. So it's just finding you don't have to eat Egg McMuffins, but it's finding your options of wherever you go you have to look into it. Every restaurant lists all their nutrient intake. So you just look on the website and see what options are best for you to make it easy. So if you know your kids love going to like KFC, go on the website, find out, well, what's my best options? That's going to be, again, how you make this work forever. And it's not just a diet, but it's just changing the calorie intake in a cycle. But the foods you're looking at, you just get to eat more of it when you're on a higher than maintenance level calories versus the calorie deficit. I just know the time. Does that all make sense? Yeah, is that
really interesting?
Okay, do you find is that helpful? I just want you to have something to take away with you as far as it making a bit of sense so that you can apply this to your current eating and it not feel like you're walking away to write up, a diet. But
I might text you my calculation if that's all right.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
See if I've got it right.
Yeah, you can all do that. Yeah, email it or text it through. Yeah, let me know, just see so I can see what your numbers are, and then just if you're not quite sure on the calculations, but I'll email you all the little formula as well, what the numbers are. But yeah, please let me know and I can help with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. So I was going to mention as well, so if anyone ever wants or knows somebody who wants nutrition coaching, so it's something I've been doing, like I said, with Joe, changing it a little bit now going forward, but I'm due like a 4-weekly nutrition coaching package where it's £50 and you do initial food diary analysis. So we go through the whole but again, a 3-4 day diary, but I go through in full detail. We have a 30-minute phone conversation going through that and working at all the numbers with you. And then every week, I look into your MyFitnessPal, so I get linked onto yours, so I get to look in it whenever I want. And on a weekly basis for those 4 weeks, I will email you once a week feedback on your previous week's intake on your MyFitnessPal. So there's that accountability that okay, well, someone is going to look at this and give me some feedback, so I've got to do it. And then as well, I can kind of highlight things that might need, some ideas of things you can change, or highlight the things, that's really great. Look at that day. Look at all that protein. Let's do that again. Like just help you identify the wins and also the things that you can change as well. But yeah, if anyone has any questions ever, always just let me know anyways. But if you know someone or yourself want to look at more one-on-one coaching, you just get in touch as well. I can happily do that too. So there we go. Does anyone have any questions at all? No?
It's not really a question. It's just like, yeah, I suppose it's just a comment really. It's really good to hear, you know, you talking in kind of, you know, about that relationship with food thing as well, because I think it's so important, and especially I'm really conscious that I don't want to be seen to be like weighing out food and stuff in front of the kids and that kind of thing, and talking about stuff. So it's kind of finding that balance really, isn't it? Like, I'm not desperate to lose those weight, so maybe some of those tips, like increasing the protein, will help me kind of do that, you know, and then
it will automatically,
without being seen to have weighed out a portion of pasta or something like that, which I really don't want to kind of get into that sort of thing. So
it would be looking like, you don't have to, you can go that far obviously, but again, if there's any concerns, I personally don't do it because it doesn't suit me. I don't like doing the full on weighing. I can't do it. I'm probably just too lazy for that, but I will use MyFitnessPal, just keep general tracks every now and then, just kind of a recheck. So I don't do it as a everyday thing, but it's more, okay, that's where I'm at. And just a bit of a reminder. But yeah, definitely, it's a different approach. It's not, it's not going to help you create a healthy relationship with food if there's an issue in that area. But you can do them slightly together, but you have to fully understand each independently to be able to do that. And it's a fine line. It is a fine line, and that's why you're welcome. Right. So yes, do your numbers if you want. Send them to me if you like, and I can happily give you some just to check them all for you. Yeah. So thanks for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Bye. See you later.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
See you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, see you tomorrow morning.